Hello everyone, welcome to Electrical Pathshala 2. In our previous video, we have already studied about the power factor and the significance of power factor. If you haven't watched the video, the link is given in description below. Now in this video, we will study about the disadvantages of poor power factor. So let's start. Guys, have you ever wondered why so much importance is given on the power factor in industries? And why we give so much emphasis on improving the power factor? To find out the answer, let's see what are the disadvantages of poor power factor. So in an AC circuit, the power consumed by the load depends on the power factor, whether it is a single phase supply or three phase supply. For example, in case of a single phase supply, the power consumed by the load is given by VL IL cos phi. Now from here we can write that IL is equals to P by VL cos phi, or simply we can write IL is inversely proportional to cos phi. If P is constant and V is constant, then we can write that IL is inversely proportional to cos phi. Or we can say that IL is inversely proportional to power factor, because cos phi is our power factor. Similarly, in case of three-phase supply, power consumed is given by root 3 VL IL cos phi. From here we can write IL is equals to P divided by root 3 VL cos phi. Now if power is constant and voltage is constant, then IL will be inversely proportional to the cos phi, or we can say that the current is inversely proportional to power factor. Now in both the cases we saw that the current through the network, current in the electricity network is inversely proportional to the power factor. It means that if power factor is low, then current through the electricity network will be higher, and this gives us our first disadvantage of poor power factor, and that is the greater conductor size. Now guys, if we have poor power factor, it means that we are drawing additional power for the reactive component of the load, and this additional power means that we are drawing additional current. Due to the poor power factor, we are drawing the additional current from the electricity network, which will increase the current flow through the network. Now as we know that the cables are rated to handle a certain amount of current flowing through them, but if a lot of large consumers with poor power factor are connected to the network, it means that they will increase the current flow through the network, and in this case the cable might overload. So to handle this increased amount of current, the suppliers has to increase the cross section area of the cables, or we can say that the suppliers have to increase the size of the conductor, which will increase the cost of the operation. Moreover, a new customer will not be able to connect to the network, and if the supplier want to connect a new customer to the utility, then they have to either replace the cable with a higher conductor size, or they simply have to install additional cables. Now our second disadvantage is large copper losses. As we know that copper loss is equals to I square R. It means that copper loss is directly proportional to I square. So if copper loss is directly proportional to the square of the current. So if power factor is poor, then the current through the network will increase, and if current is increased, then the copper loss in all the elements of the system will also increase, and that will result in poor efficiency of the system. So these are our first two disadvantages of poor power factor, and these are major disadvantages. Now to understand this Disadvantages, let's take an example. So this is our example. Suppose there is a single phase motor having an input of 10 kilowatt on full load and the terminal voltage of the system is 250 volt. Now we have to find the input full load current for two cases. First for unity power factor and second for 0.8 power factor. So let's first talk about case 1, which is unity power factor. Now first of all we have to see what is given in the question. So two things are given. 10 kilowatt input is given. So 10 kilowatts, it means that this is the active power, which is P, 10 kilowatt. And the second thing is 250 volts, which is the terminal voltage, 250 volts. Now in the first case, as the power factor of the system is unity, that means 1. It means that the active power and the apparent power will be same, that is 10 kilowatt. In the as the power factor of the system is unity, it means that the reactive power of the system is 0. Q is 0. Therefore P and S will be equal, and that will be equal to 10 kilowatts. As we know that the apparent power is given by VL into IL. From here we will find out our input full load current, that is S by VL, or we can write 10 kilowatt or 10,000 watts or volt ampere by VL, which is 250 volt. From here we will get our input full load current, and that will be 40 amperes. So in case of unity power factor, the input full load current of the system is 40 amperes. Now let's see what happens in the second case, which is the power factor of the system is 0.8. Now according to the general definition of power factor is given by active power to the apparent power, or we can say kilowatts to kilovolt ampere. Now from here we will find our apparent power, that is S is equals to kW by power factor. So kW is given in the question, which is 10 kilowatt, and power factor is 0.8. From here we will get our apparent power, and that will be 12.5 volt amperes. Now as we know that apparent power is given as VL into IL, so from here we will find out our input full load current in case of 0.8 power factor, and that will be S by VL. That means that apparent power by VL, and that is 12.5 kVA, or it is kVA, 12.5 kVA or 12,500 volt ampere, divided by VL is 250 volt. So from here we will find out our input full load current, that will be 50 amps. So if we compare both the cases, then we will see that if the power factor degrades, power factor is less, then the current through the motor conductor and the cable supply cables will increase. And if the current is increasing, it means that the copper loss in the second case, in case of 0.8 power factor, will be greater as compared to the unity power factor. And that is our first two disadvantages of poor power factor. Now let's see what is the third disadvantage of poor power factor. The third disadvantage is poor voltage regulation. Now guys, if large customers with poor power factor are connected to the network, it means that they are increasing the current flow through the network, which will result in greater voltage drop across alternators, transformers, and transmission and distribution lines. And it means that we will receive less voltages at our homes and offices. Now this reduces the distribution capacity of the supplier and also degrades the performance of utilization devices. Now to keep the receiving end voltage within a permissible limit, the suppliers have to apply voltage regulators, and that increases the cost of operation. So this is also a major disadvantage of poor power factor, because if the power factor is poor, then the current through the supply network will increase, and this will result in voltage drop across the cables, and hence we will receive less voltage at our homes and offices. So the voltage regulation in this case will be poor, and that is a major disadvantage. Now the next disadvantage is large kVA ratings of equipment. How? So guys, the electrical machineries, whatever electrical machineries, alternators, transformers, switch gears, etc. So the electrical machineries are always rated in kVA. Now also we also know that power factor is given by active power to the apparent power, or we can say kilowatts to the kilovolt ampere. These are the respective units of active and apparent power. So power factor is given by kW by kVA. So from here we can write kVA is equals to kW by power factor, or kVA is inversely proportional to power factor. So from here we saw that the kVA rating of electrical equipment is inversely proportional to the power factor. It means that if the power factor of the system is low, then the manufacturer have to increase the kVA rating of the equipment, and if the kVA rating of the equipment is increased, then the size and the cost of the equipment will also increase. It means that if the power factor of the system is poor, then the equipment, electrical machineries will be heavier, will be larger and costlier. So this is also a disadvantage of poor power factor. Now the fifth disadvantage is reduced handling capacity of the system. So in case of low lagging power factor, the handling capacity of all the elements of the system reduces because of the reactive component of the current. Reactive component of the current means I sin phi, because the I sin phi reduces the utilization capacity of the installed equipment. That's why the handling capacity of all the elements of the power system reduces in case of poor power factor. So this is also a major disadvantage. Now the last disadvantage is power factor penalty. Now guys, if large customers have poor power factor, it means that they are increasing the current flow through the electricity networks, and that results in voltage drop across all the elements of the system, and that also results in large copper losses. So in this case what happens, that the distribution capacity of the suppliers degrades, and that's why the customers having poor power factor are charged by the suppliers, and this is known as power factor penalty. That's why due to the power factor penalty, the electricity bills of such customers having poor power factor increases due to the power factor penalty only. Now these suppliers also give incentives to the customers. If a customer is able to maintain his power factor at or above a particular level, then the same suppliers give them incentives also. For example, in Maharashtra, India, utility charges the customer with 10% penalty on total bill amount if power factor is less than or equals to 0.8. So if a customer have power factor less than or equals to 0.8, then the utility will charge 10%. Utility gives 10% penalty on total bill amount in Maharashtra. So suppose if the total bill amount is 10,000, then the utility will, and if the power factor of the customer is less than 0.8, then the utility will give him 10% penalty. So 10% penalty on the total bill amount will be 1,000 rupees. So the customer have to now pay the increased bill amount of 11,000 rupees. So this is a major disadvantage. But at the same time, utility also gives 7% incentive on total bill amount if the power factor is greater than or equal to 0.95. So if a customer, if an industry is able to maintain their power factor greater or equal to 0.95, then he will receive 7% incentive on the total bill amount. So suppose if the total bill amount is 10,000 rupees, so he will receive incentive of 700 rupees, and they will have to pay reduced bill of 9,300 only. So this is a advantage. Now after seeing all these disadvantages of poor power factor, we got our answer that why we should improve our power factor, and these are all the reasons why we should improve our power factor. So we should improve our power factor because of the better utilization of electrical machineries, better utilization of conductors to reduce the size of the conductor, because if our power factor is good, then we will draw less current from this electricity network, and hence we don't have to increase the size of the conductor. So if the power factor is good, then so we should improve the power factor to reduce the size of the conductor. Now if the current through the network is low, then this will also reduce the I square R or copper losses. For better voltage regulation, if the current, we are drawing less current from the network, then the voltage drop will not occur across the cables, and that will improve the voltage regulation. So for the better voltage regulation, we should improve our power factor to improve handling capacity of the system, and to avoid penalties, and to get incentive from the utilities. So these are all the reasons for which we should improve our power factor. Now our next topic is types of power factor. So guys, basically there are two types of power factor: displacement power factor and distortion power factor. Let's talk about them one by one. So let's first talk about displacement power factor. So guys, what happens in case of linear loads, that the degradation of power factor is because of the reactive component of the load. Now what are linear loads? Like resistive load, capacitive load, inductive loads, and mixture of these loads like RL load, RC, RLC. These are all the linear loads. So in case of linear loads, what due to if reactive component is present, reactive component means inductive reactance or capacitive reactance is present in the load, then this degrades the power factor, and in this case the power factor is known as the displacement power factor. Now as we know that in case of purely resistive load, what happens that both voltage and current remains in same phase. It means that the phase difference between voltage and current in case of a purely resistive load is 0 degree. Therefore our power factor or cos phi, in this case cos 0 degree, is 1. So power factor in case of purely resistive load is 1, which is the perfect value of power factor. But in case of reactive components like inductive reactance or capacitive reactance, what happens that they introduces phase difference between voltage and current, and due to that phase difference the power factor gets degraded, and in this case the power factor is known as displacement power factor. For example, suppose if the reactance is present in the load, then due to this reactance a phase difference of phi will be introduced between voltage and current, and due to this phase displacement the power factor, that is cos phi, will be less than 1, and that's why in case of linear load we call power factor as displacement power factor. Now if the load is of inductive nature, then by applying capacitor banks the power factor can be improved. So this was all about displacement power factor. Now the second type of power factor is distortion power factor, and this occurs in case of non-linear loads. So apart from linear loads, we also have non-linear loads. Like for example, in case of variable frequency drive or servo drive, we have rectifier bridges inside them, and that is a non-linear load. So these non-linear loads introduces harmonics in the current waveform. It means that apart from the fundamental frequency, we also have harmonics in the current waveform, and due to the harmonics the power factor gets degraded, and in this case, in case of non-linear load, we call the power factor as the distortion power factor. Now guys, what happens that in case of non-linear loads, by applying capacitor the power factor cannot be improved because there is harmonics in the current waveforms. So to improve the power factor, we have to eliminate the harmonics from the current waveform, and to do so we have to apply by active and passive filters to improve the power factor. So guys, these were the two types of power factor, which are displacement power factor, which occurs in case of linear loads, and distortion power factor, which occurs in case of non-linear loads. But in actual system we used to have both kind of loads, where both kind of loads are present, linear and non-linear loads both are present. So in that case the total power factor of the circuit is given by this expression. The total power factor of the circuit in case when both the loads are present is given by the following formula, which is total power factor is equals to displacement power factor into displacement power factor. So this is the formula of the total power factor if both linear and non-linear load are present in this circuit. So guys, this was all about this video. If you have any problem regarding this topic, then you can raise your queries in the comment box. The blog on this topic will be out soon, and the link will be given in the comment section. So see you in the next video. Till then, signing off.